YouTube, welcome to the first episode of Screen Banters, screenbanters.com. My name is Brian. Over here, we've got
I'm Joel.
Joel, and this character is
Jeff.
Jeff. Tonight we're actually going to be going to see The Hobbit, but we wanted to really quickly just do a quick take on what did we see last night?
American Sniper.
American Sniper. See that hat? Wearing his hat.
Wasn't even last night. It was 2 nights ago.
It was 2 nights ago. All right. So I'm not going to lie, we are drunk for this. So we're pretty excited about this. We're looking to have some good fun with this. So now that we've all seen American Sniper, as you know, it's been in all the news about, what's the guy's name?
Which one?
The sniper dude.
Chris Kyle.
Chris Kyle.
Chris Kyle, but what's the actor? Hello?
Brad Cooper.
Bradley
Bradley Cooper.
Cooper.
That's right.
Right.
Brad, yeah, you're friends with him over there.
That's right.
All right.
So obviously this is pretty topical. It's in the news. He's the most decorated for his kills.
Greatest military sniper in the history of the military.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Kyle, not Bradley Cooper.
Right, no, Bradley
That's
Cooper.
right. Bradley Cooper is not the greatest of the military.
He's the greatest at getting a gut for a movie, though. He did get a gut for that movie.
And he still made it look sexy.
Still made it look. He brought the sexy.
And he talked with marbles in his mouth. You got to give him credit.
Right.
He played redneck.
So if you don't know, this movie is basically about Chris Kyle, is that his name?
That's it.
All right, Chris Kyle. He's a guy from Texas, a little aggressive, and one day basically sees a couple of bombings that happened to U.S. embassies, and then ultimately he saw the World Trade Centers go down, and that was kind of the impetus for him joining the military and taking his laser eye hunting shooting skills to the battlefield as a sniper. And what was his year to date? How many kills did he have?
164.
164 kills, which is a big thing for a sniper, I would imagine.
Apparently.
Apparently.
Highest in U.S. military history.
Highest.
Nice. Like, that goes all the way back to the American Revolution, then.
So clearly it's a lot. It's amazing because you see how many bullets get shot in those things.
Way more than Tom Hanks, apparently, or it's just because he's a sniper.
Who did Tom Hanks kill?
In the freaking movie that was famous. You know.
Oh, the Private Ryan
Yeah,
one?
the Private Ryan. Like, in all those army movies, that's what I'm saying. They usually kill like 100 people in one shot. So I'm just wondering why 164 is so many, but it must just be because he's a sniper.
So what's interesting about this movie is I think you can walk away from it with two kind of takes. One is a take of what's the inside life of being a sniper in the military in today's sort of battlefield. But really the other thing, and what I took away from it was it was a story about this person who keeps going back tour after tour to Iraq and to the battlefield, and you see him basically every time he comes back he's changed a little bit, and it's obvious that post-traumatic stress syndrome is setting in and it starts to take an amazing toll, but all the while he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons. He's saving his guys, he's doing it for America, for freedom.
Well, we talked about this too. One of the things I thought for the movie is it almost seemed like they were going to come across like he was going to be a dick somehow, but
Right.
they ended up the movie ended with him actually being just an American hero. There's a lot of talk too about there's a lot of buzz about this movie with him being a hero and whether he actually should have been a hero for killing people. And Michael Moore was talking about how snipers are cowards and his grandfather was killed by a coward. So it's creating a lot of buzz.
Well, apparently though, if you read the book, he doesn't come across that well in the book. Actually, he comes across and even says it himself, apparently in the book, that he did go back and have that bloodlust. But aside from all that, it was a great movie. Bradley Cooper did an amazing job.
He did. I think the directing, though, is definitely the star of the movie. I think Clint Eastwood really sucked you into each scene. The stress, you could feel it when he was sitting there in front of the TV, watching the TV, and there's nothing on the TV, and his kid's birthday party was going on in the background. You could definitely feel what it was like to come home and just be completely fish out of water.
Exactly, yeah. He definitely felt more comfortable when he was at war.
And he was funny when he was with his buddies, but the minute he went into his family environment, he just became a robot.
Even when he met the guy at the car wash or the car maintenance place and that he had saved, he was completely out of his element there, and you could totally tell.
You could feel, yeah, that was good acting. You could feel his uncomfortableness with talking about the fact that he was a hero.
Right, but all these are more just symptoms of his mental stresses. Really, his developing disability for post-traumatic stress disorder kind of sinking in, that he became more withdrawn every time he came back. Then you had Sienna Miller, who played his wife. I mean, she did okay.
I know. See, I talked about this too. I think that the fact that the chemistry between them was kind of missing. I did not feel.
Well, because she
like-
was one note, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just she played the, you don't give me enough attention. What's going on with you? I don't understand it.
And they went right from her and him meeting in a bar to them being married. They
Well-
skipped right over the whole chemistry of their relationship.
Well, I think it was kind of stressing how they kind of met while he was training to be a SEAL, like right when he finished being a SEAL, and then right when they got married, all of a sudden he was going out to war. So
Well,
I mean,
just the Navy SEAL aspect was out of nowhere. He was a rodeo guy, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I didn't even know you could just go straight into SEAL training without basic training.
Well,
or
but
anything like that.
he went into SEALs training at 30 years old, and they even made light of it about him being the grandpa in the SEALs training. Didn't go alone. He went with his brother. But what's interesting is that
His brother went in the SEALs training?
yeah,
Well, no, he went to the Marines.
Yeah,
Well, he wouldn't-
he was surprised by the fact that his brother joined the army afterwards. I thought.
no,
Well, no, he knew his brother joined. He was just surprised when he found out that he
he
got
was in country.
deployed.
Right.
Okay. And his brother was a SEAL.
No, he's a Marine.
No, he was just
Okay,
a Marine.
okay,
He was just a
yeah.
Marine. That was
just a Marine.
That was my mistake.
Just a Marine.
You know, as far as directing goes, I want to give it to Clint Eastwood for definitely making you feel like you were there. You know, I mean, there are some scenes where Bradley Cooper has to make some decisions that are just gut-wrenching, that nobody should have to make that kind of decision.
Well, that's in the trailer. He had to literally decide whether to shoot a kid that looked like he was holding a bomb or not. I mean,
right, but I'm talking about there's actually another scene where he has to make a similar sort of choice, and you felt his when he decided against it. You felt his, oh my God, I can't handle this anymore. And that's where in the one gunfight, he broke down, and it's in the trailer where you see him saying, I'm ready to come home.
The questionable scene of the movie was the writing, I think. If you had to question anything about it, I think the writing was a little jumbled around. There was no real story or arc or anything like that. And
Mm.
certainly the way it ended was a little weird. We were just completely shut off. They didn't show
Right.
him actually die.
Well, see, I thought that the story followed a great storyline. I mean, I thought it was very.
It kept you interested, but there was no.
I mean,
you didn't know
it-
where it was going.
Yeah,
Like,
but it showed the clear progression, and I mean, anybody that knew the story knew where it was going. And personally, I was sitting there in the theater once he came back from the fourth tour with this just gut-wrenching feeling in my stomach because I knew what was going to happen at the end, like where he
So
gets.
you knew. I didn't know. But
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Where he gets taken out and shot, and I mean, it showed the one scene where.
It's not a spoiler. It's in the book. It's actually out there. So it's,
Well, I thought we could do spoilers. No, I feel like we.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
post review, whatever. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
So
alert.
he dies when he takes out another Marine
It's a
to
true story. We can do this, but-
to shoot. He's taken out another Marine with PTSD to help him out, and the Marine
Good
ends
deed.
up killing
He does
him,
do a
and
good deed, yeah.
I think another guy as well that went with him, and I knew that was going to happen, and it shows a scene in the movie where they go out with a Marine, and the whole time I just had this gut-wrenching feeling because I thought that they were going to show that, and I was actually kind of relieved when they didn't. I thought that they cut it off at a good point right before that, and then they just.
Well, I will say this: that end was one of the most powerful endings ever. Even the way it was a little weird. I don't know if they did it right, but the theater. There was everyone in the theater had their arms crossed and not a soul moved throughout the whole credits because they showed the whole parade and he had apparently he had a funeral that was inside of a stadium. I've never even heard of a funeral like
Well, it was
that.
a
I didn't-
memorial service in Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that. I didn't hear anything about that on the 24-hour news cycle or anything back when it happened. That was only like 2 years ago. So
the audience
I
response was
missed that.
definitely weird. Did you not feel that people were waiting? Should we applaud?
There was
You know,
no,
you
but
kind,
there
you
was
kind of
not
felt that
a
tension, and nobody said. You could hear a pin drop.
You could definitely hear
Yeah.
a pin drop. I actually recorded it as we walked out. I mean, it was that powerful that not a soul moved. And they sat there and watched. The credits were kind of cheesy with trumpets playing and stuff, but just what you were watching, material alone, was enough to just make it so no one wanted to
Right.
move and get up because they didn't want to disrespect
And
it.
that certainly
Right.
pulled the heartstrings, but I will say that I did have an issue with Clint Eastwood and the story arc that he created. I felt it was just kind of chopped together. I felt that there needed to be a little more development on his character, a little bit more to help you get inside his head. I mean, Bradley Cooper did an amazing job kind of conveying that with a very solemn look, and there's a fantastic scene in the movie where he's at the party, he's just kind of sitting there.
That's the one I'm talking about, with
Yeah.
the kids party. Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's-
that was just, you could feel the
Right.
post-traumatic stress.
Right.
there was
But-
ever a video explaining what post-traumatic stress is, that would be the video.
But I would think the one problem with this movie, however, is the Sienna Miller, the wife's role, where you saw her getting exasperated.
Frustrated.
But you never felt it. Like, were you emotionally connected to her at all?
I felt that he was missing his whole entire kid's life. Like he was
Right.
literally over there for like 8 years, missing his entire kid's life, and that sacrifice that he made. I don't know if it was more that you were frustrated with the fact that he wasn't seeing the fact that he was missing his kid's life, and he just kept going back. And he was, what I kept thinking was, he was so worried about the people he was leaving behind in Iraq, but he didn't necessarily care about the family he was leaving behind at home.
Right.
That was where you were. But I will say, the end is almost a Scarface ending with that whole scene in the desert with the sandstorm and hundreds and hundreds of people surrounding that building and just flocking around. And then the fact they made it out, I was like, holy shit! Like it probably you probably missed a little bit of it because you already knew what happened, because I thought he was going to die in that scene, and the fact that, spoiler alert, he didn't was just insane.
Right.
And that was a shocker, the fact that he made it out of that, and how he did was almost like Mother Nature saved him. I mean, it was
But
just
that being
crazy.
said, though, I will say that, and I said this before, that I think Black Hawk Down did a much better job with making you feel enclosed in, that there was no way out. You know,
You thought he was going to make it off that building.
yeah, because they had the dust storm that was rolling in, and that basically laid cover for them to get out.
You didn't know that was going to come in until after the scene.
Well, they talked about it. They talked about a sandstorm coming in when they were doing the operation.
Right.
They
Right,
said
and
in
I
the
thought
middle
they
of a
were, I
sandstorm,
thought they were
bring
in
your
it when that
goggles.
guy was wiping his face. I didn't realize they were literally not going to be able to see 2 inches in front of him. But they even had the total movie climatic ending between the two snipers, which again, I want to give that guy credit. The other sniper did an awesome job. He didn't have 2 words in the whole movie, but he was a great, I would say, villain as the other sniper.
Right, the opposing sniper.
And in
I
fact,
don't know how much of that was true. That may have been.
yeah, that might have, because it's almost impossible that there was 2 snipers in a war that lasted over 8 years. They
Right.
were constantly trying to go after each other.
Well, that's one of the controversies about this movie, is that there's a couple of actual facts in this book and in the movie that turns out they were actual lies.
Okay, well,
Now,
maybe
we'll
that's what
fact check
people are
that.
freaking out about, because the fact that a sniper movie ends with him taking the shot over a mile away that no man could make, I mean, you couldn't have written a better script
Right.
that he takes out that sniper from over
Well,
a
I
mile
will
away.
say, however, you couldn't write that into a movie being that unrealistic and assume people just accept it with that dispelling the disbelief thing. So I actually think that might actually have some level of truth to it, because it's so over the top.
But
Well-
it ended with the best scene of the movie. That was definitely the best scene of the movie, so they did the climax right. But I think the second best scene of the movie was that sniper playing with him. The way that he kept, like, he couldn't move anywhere without the sniper taking him out.
Mhm.
That one scene where the other sniper had him by the balls, and then they took out the kid with the freaking drill. That was
That was
insane.
hard. You know, that's what I think they did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's all right. Did you guys see the Seth Rogen comment?
No, oh yeah, I did.
That
yeah.
was,
That was right
that's-
after the Michael Moore
Yeah,
comment.
it caused a lot of controversy where he compared it to the sniper video in the second act of
Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Basterds. Yeah.
But all he was talking about actually was just the pacing of it. He wasn't making a political statement about it.
That's what I thought too, and I thought people were kind of blowing that out of the water. I don't think that he
Yeah.
was saying that it was propaganda.
Michael Moore had the much more controversial statement
Yeah.
that his grandfather got killed by a sniper, so they all suck.
Well, but from his point of view, I mean, that was his skin in the game. That was his perspective. You know, if someone you love gets taken out by a sniper. Look, if I were ever going to battle, I would absolutely want to have a sniper covering my ass.
Well, they really made the case for the sniper being the guardian angel that
Mhm.
had hundreds and hundreds of people that thanked him for their life, and you don't really think of the snipers as being those. You think of SEALs being guardian angels, but you don't really put the sniper in that position that he's literally saving hundreds of lives at a time because he's protecting all of them from above.
You know what, I will say this, and this is total armchair commentary, is that I would have thought with an operation like this, where they were going after a high-profile target, that they would have had maybe some air cover or drone cover, or because it seemed like that helicopter took way too long to get to him.
Yeah, but that was 8 years after the war started, and everybody was bitching about how much it was costing. So I'm sure.
Well,
That's
and they did
true.
have the drone covering them. It just wasn't an
It
armed
wasn't any,
drone.
yeah, armed drone. That's
But that was even cool too. How they all agreed to, okay, this is it. We need to blow up this building, even though we're
Call
in
it
it.
in.
yeah.
To end this. That was cool. I mean, you could feel the heroism at the
Heroics,
end.
yeah.
Heroics, whatever. But I'm just saying that the end was almost perfect, and it certainly, I don't know how long the movie was, but it did not drag at all.
No, I mean, well, it certainly kept your attention through the whole thing throughout. So if we were to rate this thing on a, you know, just like they do on IMDb, a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this at? And noting this is up for Best Picture.
Well, I kind of want to give it a little bit more than that. I want to say where it ranks, and I would say it ranks as absolutely a movie that should be seen in a theater. We talked about this too. IMAX is not necessary. We only did it because we had free movie passes. But what it added to the movie was every time the sound was insane. Every time that sniper rifle went off, you could feel it throughout the whole theater. I don't know if
sound
it works
was
like
amazing.
that.
I didn't get to
With the
see it
theater?
in IMAX, but the sound in it that I saw was I felt like something was lacking. So I mean, I would have preferred to have seen it in IMAX.
Okay, well, the visual was not worth it to see it in IMAX, but the
Right.
sound by itself, you could feel every time that gun went off, you could feel it throughout the whole theater like you were right next to it. So that was cool. And then as far as a category that I would put it in, I would say, yeah, I would definitely go see it. I don't know that you'd have to see it on opening night or anything like that, but I'd see it in the theater just for that aspect
Definitely
of
a
it alone.
theater. I think when all said and done, though, I think you still had great enjoyment out of it. So, is it IMAX worthy? That's a personal choice call, I think, on that.
$17 outright max, really no, but
No.
it was definitely worth seeing in the theater as an event, as something. It was entertaining enough to be.
But if you were a DVD collector, would you put this in the Blu-ray gotta have category, or
Well, I'm not a collector at all, but that's a good question because I don't know if I'd want to see this over and over and over again.
because I don't think the
it
high
felt like it was
definition
long.
really adds to it specifically. But overall, great movie. We do recommend it, of course. And honestly, this is the end of our first review. We want to thank you for chiming in on us, and we'd love to hear what you think about it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Right
And,
below.
yeah, and comment down below. We'll be pretty active on there. We're also active on Twitter. We like to kind of talk to folks and see what they think. Obviously, it's subjective, but we want to thank you for showing up for our first video.
And just so you know, we're on our way right now to
Yep.
see The Hobbit.
Yeah, we gotta get
And,
outta here.
Stay tuned. Below, you can probably see the review for The Hobbit. We'll be reviewing that later on tonight.
Absolutely.
And again, subscribe to our channel.